everyone. Whoever we are, either we are students, workers, or just living our lives every day, we need a little push to get through the day, to finish our work, or to answer our school activities. And right here, right now, we are going to tackle all about motivation. According to Bamister, he says that motivation boils down to one thing. Mostly, we define it as a drive or a need. Motivation is a condition inside us that desires a change either in the self within us or the environment all around us. As we all know, when a person is motivated, that person moves and takes action, which means the nature of motivation is energized and persistent goal-directed behavior. So first, let's talk about the basic human traits. Every person has an idea of their own personality type. So, what makes you you? Or what makes you identified as yourself? According to psychologists, there are 5 major traits underlying personality, which are openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, introversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. We are defined as individuals with differences in the way we think, feel, and behave. First is openness, which is short term for openness to experiences. From the word openness to experience, it's obvious that these are kind of people who are adventurous. They are curious about things and they're likely to appreciate art, imagination, and new things. Their motto might be, variety is the spice of life. These people are open for experiences, doing things that they don't usually do. There is a fun fact that openness associates with verbal intelligence and knowledge acquisition over the lifespan. Why? Because of their variety of experiences, which implies they learn from experiences because they explore and get out of their comfort zones. They tend to be funnier and more knowledgeable than people who are just smart. Second is conscientiousness. These are people who have strong sense of duty. A conscientious people are very careful about doing what you are supposed to do, and you are concerned when doing something correctly. These people are dependable, disciplined, and achievement focused. They don't go around unplanned. They are not spontaneous nor freewheeling. They don't support the quotation, best things happens unplanned. They don't procrastinate, so more likely they don't worry a lot, which is a helpful trait to have, right? Next, extraversion versus introversion. These are possibly the most recognizable personality trait of the Big Five. Introversion is being extrovert who are more of a social butterfly. They are chatty or bubbly, sociable, and they draw energy from crowds. They are assertive or confident and cheerful, while introversion is its opposite. Being introvert, they need and love to have plenty of alone time. Introversion is often confused with shyness, but the two are different. Why? Because introverts don't like to interact with people. They prefer going solo or small groups of activities, while shyness implies a fear of social interaction or an inability to function socially. You see, there's a huge gap between you can but you don't want to and you can't but you would want to. But most people can be introvert and extrovert at the same time, like being extrovert on people you are comfortable with but introvert to people you're not comfortable with. Next, agreeableness. This measures the extent of a person's warmth and kindness. From agreeable itself, they are those people we can please or ask, request, and favors to. The more agreeable someone is, the more likely they are to be trusting, helpful, and compassionate. The downside would be, being agreeable is exhausting sometimes. You can deny it or can see it because you enjoyed helping so much to the point it consumes you without you knowing. Because of your mindset. The advantage of it would be you will have less depression and greater job stability. Next, neuroticism. Having a neurotic character, condition, or trait. Neurosis is an emotional illness in which a person experiences strong feelings of fear or worry. Do you know that people high in neuroticism worry frequently and easily to slip into anxiety and depression? Because even when all is going well, neurotic people tend to find things to worry about. This is a serious matter, and if you think you are neurotic, please ask help and guidance from psychiatrists. Personality was once thought to be very difficult to alter, but personality can change in adulthood, slowly but naturally. Since we are adulting and maturing, our mindset and perception in life will go bigger. So, in what type of personality trait do you belong? Assess yourself or take an online test which is free and you'll know the answer. Why is it under motivation? Because if you know who you were, you can assess yourself on how to work on motivating within. Here are the example of the 5 major traits.
The theory of the Big 5 personality traits claims that we can describe ourselves with 5 main characteristics: open, conscientious, extrovert, agreeable, neurotic. Each of us varies in how much of each trait is shown in our personality. In order to understand what each trait really means, let's look at these 5 characters and how they cope after they wreck their boat and are stranded on an island in the middle of the ocean. Open Odalia is excited and interested in exploring this beautiful island. The exotic nature inspires her. She has collected stones, shells and blossoms to decorate the entrance of the bamboo hut that she built for everyone. She feels this is an opportunity to learn so many new things. Claire is conscientious. She is not excited. She is concerned about the seriousness of the situation. She is glad she saved the survival kit from their ship. As usual, she is prepared and starts the crucial tasks right away. She feels that it is her duty to organize everyone and make sure that they will start looking for the things they need for survival: fresh water and food. Extrovert Emil is thrilled because they all survived. He feels a strong need to talk and share his happiness. He gathers everyone to celebrate their survival and to tell them about his plan to explore the island together. Agreeable Albert is kind by nature, and despite being tired and thirsty, his main concern is Nora. He offers her a drink from his coconut. The others know that he usually agrees to everything and are not shy to ask for his help. Nora is neurotic and easily stressed. She has a total breakdown. She sits down on the beach and cries. How are they ever going to get away from this island? To her, the ocean around them looks endless. Nature looks dark and dangerous. She feels completely lost. After 8 weeks, 2 ships appear on the horizon. Everyone gets excited. Emil has the idea to make a fire. He calls the others to help. Claire immediately starts to work. Albert brings more wood. Odalia is holding up her beautifully arranged SOS sign, while Nora screams desperately for help. Little do they know who is sailing on these ships. The first ship carries a group of psychologists who have been traveling the ocean since the 1980s. They are investigating the Big 5 personality traits, which is also known as the 5-factor or ocean model. The captain, Louis Goldberg, coined the term Big 5. He is thrilled when he sees the 5 friends at the beach, each one matching exactly one trait: open, conscientious, extrovert, agreeable, neurotic. Though he decides not to stop the boat. As a scientist, he prefers to watch from afar. On the other ship are 5 pirates, all possessing the exact opposite traits of our friends. Let's see if you can recognize them. Pirate 1 is emotionally stable and very relaxed. When she sees the survivors on the beach, she says, "We could help them." Pirate 2 immediately gets angry with her. He is not listening to anyone and is not willing to change his plans in order to help some strangers on an island. Pirate 3 thinks this is a complex situation. He thinks that all possible outcomes need to be considered. He feels the need to be alone and think. Pirate 4 doesn't care. He's busy looking for the keys to his treasure chest, which is lost again. The captain is not open to any new experiences. He ends all discussions when he says, "Our boat won't stop." What do you think about the Big Five? Do you recognize your own personality in some of the traits? Or do you think this theory is flawed, as we cannot describe an entire personality in 5 parameters? If you watch this in class and you are not sure which traits you have, pick a friend and describe each other. Many of us are bad at describing ourselves, so an outside perspective is often helpful.
Our next topic is motivational process. It is important to know motivation process so that we can use it as a guide and apply it in ourselves to develop the motivation within us. This motivation process is always used no matter which theory of motivation the manager is following. Employees' motivation is crucial to management because it will reflect on their performance. These are the 5 steps of motivating process. First, identify unsatisfied needs and motives. Second, tension. Third, action to satisfy needs and motives. Fourth, goal accomplishment. Fifth, feedback. The first process is to identify unsatisfied needs and motives or things that are needed to be done. Say, for example, internal stimuli such as hunger and thirst, and external stimuli such as advertisement and window display. In simple words, people will get motivated when they have unsatisfied needs and wants, and in order to achieve it, they would be motivated to make an action to it. Second in here, the tension. Unsatisfied need creates tension to individual, which can be physical, psychological, and sociological. By the tension developing within the individual, people will try to develop objects that will satisfy their needs. Third is action. To satisfy needs and motives because of tension that triggers individual strong internal stimulus, it will eventually cause for action. In this step, individual will engage in activities to satisfy needs and motives for tension reduction. In simple words, this is the performance. Fourth, the goal accomplishment. The action done to satisfy needs and motives accomplishes goals. Achieved goals can be rewarded, but unfortunately, some are punished, since some goals are done but failed. When you carry out the plan correctly with action, it is mostly accomplished and succeed. Fifth, the feedback. The feedback provides information for revision or improvement or modification of needs as needed. Everything changes, and as you accomplish one need, another need will arise or another goal is set. But in other words, it is the response of what you are doing for. In conclusion, management can do its job effectively only through motivating employees to work for accomplishment of organizational objectives.
So now let's proceed to another topic, theories of motivation. Various psychologists have tried to find out the answers to what motivates people to work. They formalized their findings in the form of various motivation theories. And here are some of the famous motivation theories. First is the Maslow's need hierarchy theory. Maslow's theory is based on the human needs. He postulated that a man will be motivated when his needs are fulfilled. He classified all human needs into 5 levels hierarchical manner from the lower to higher order. Physiological needs. These needs relate to the survival of human life, which include food, clothing, shelter, air, water, and necessities of life. These are to be met first before higher level needs emerge. Once physiological needs are satisfied, they are no longer motivate the man. After satisfying the physiological needs, the next needs felt are called safety and security needs. Meeting these needs requires more money, and hence, the individual is prompted to work more. Like physiological needs, these become inactive once they are satisfied. Social needs. Man is a social being. He is therefore interested in social interaction, companionship, and belongingness. It is this socializing and belongingness why individuals prefer to work in groups, and especially older people go to work. The STEAM needs. These include such needs which indicate self-confidence, achievement, competence, knowledge, and independence. The fulfillment of STEAM needs leads to strength and capability. However, inability to fulfill these needs results in feeling like inferiority, weakness, and helplessness in the organization. Self-actualization. The final step under the need hierarchy model. This refers to fulfillment and the culmination of all higher needs of human beings. According to Maslow, the human needs follow a definite sequence of domination. The second need does not arise until the first is reasonably satisfied, and the third need does not emerge until the first two needs have been reasonably satisfied, and it goes on. Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory. Herzberg conducted a widely reported motivational study on 200 accountants and engineers employed by firms. He asked two important incidents at their jobs. First is when did you feel particularly good about your job? And second, when did you feel exceptionally bad about your job? Reported good feelings were generally associated with job satisfaction, whereas bad feeling with job dissatisfaction. According to Herzberg, the opposite of satisfaction is no satisfaction, and the opposite of dissatisfaction is no dissatisfaction. Moreover, according to him, today's motivators are tomorrow's hygiene because the latter stop influencing the behavior of persons when they get them. Accordingly, one's hygiene may be the motivators of another. Third is McClelland's need theory. McClelland's need theory is closely associated with learning theory because he believed that needs are learned or acquired by the kinds of events people experience in their environment and culture. His theory focuses on Murray's three needs: achievement, power, and affiliation. Need for achievement. This is the drive to excel, to achieve in relation to a set of standards, and to strive to succeed. McClelland found that people with a high need for achievement perform better than those with a moderate or low need for achievement. The need for power. People with a high need for power are people who like to be in control of people and events. This results in ultimate satisfaction to man. Need for affiliation. The need for affiliation is defined as a desire to establish and maintain friendly and warm relations with other people. MacGregor's participation theory. Douglas MacGregor formulated two distinct views of human being based on participation of workers. The first basically negative, labeled as Theory X, and the others basically positive, labeled as Theory Y. Theory X is based on the following assumptions. On the contrary, Theory Y assumes that what MacGregor tried to dramatize through his Theory X and Y is to outline the extremes to draw the fencing within which the organizational man is usually seen to behave. The fact remains that no organizational man would actually belong either to Theory X or Theory Y. In reality, he or she shares the traits of both. Orwick's Theory Z. The two propositions in Orwick's theory are that, first, each individual should know the organizational goals precisely and the amount of contribution through his effort towards these goals. And second, each individual should also know that the relation of organizational goals is going to satisfy his or her needs positively. In Orwick's view, the two propositions make people ready to behave positively to accomplish both organizational and individual goals. Theory Z is based on the following four postulates. Argyris theory. Argyris has developed his motivation theory based on proposition how management practices affect the individual behavior and growth. In his view, the 7 changes taking place in an individual personality make him or her a mature one. In other words, personality of individual develops. Argyris says that immaturity exists in individuals mainly because of organizational setting and management practices. In order to make individuals grow mature, he proposes gradual shift from the existing pyramidal organization structure to humanistic system. He states that such a situation will satisfy not only their physiological and safety needs, but will also motivate them to make more use of their potential in accomplishing organizational structure. Vroom's expectancy theory. It is a cognitive process theory of motivation. The theory is founded on the basic notions that people will be motivated to exert a high level of effort when they believe there are relationships between the effort they put forth, the performance they achieve, and the outcomes or rewards they receive. The key constructs in the expectancy theory of motivation are: first is the valence. Valence, according to Vroom, means the value or strength one places on a particular outcome or reward. Second, expectancy. It relates efforts to performance. And third is instrumentality. It is the belief that performance is related to rewards. Thus, Vroom's motivation can also be expressed in the form of an equation as follows. Last is the Porter and Lawler's expectancy theory. The theory posits that motivation does not equal satisfaction or performance. What is the main point in Porter and Lawler's model is that effort or motivation does not lead directly to performance. It is intact, mediated by abilities and traits and by role perceptions. Ultimately, performance leads to satisfaction. There are 3 main elements in this model. First is the effort, which refers to the amount of an energy an employee exerts on a given task. Second is the performance. If an employee possesses less ability or makes wrong role perception, his or her performance may be low in spite of his putting in great efforts. Third is the satisfaction. If the amount of the actual rewards meet or exceed perceived equitable rewards, the employee will feel satisfied. On the contrary, if actual rewards fall short of perceived ones, he or she will be dissatisfied. Now let's proceed to the new topic, which is the goal setting. So what is goal setting? Goal setting is a powerful motivator, the value of which has been recognized in an abundance of clinical and real-world setting for over 35 years. It is the process by which we achieve goals. The importance of the goal-setting process should not go unappreciated. According to Locke, every person's life depends on the process of choosing goals to pursue. If you remain passive, you are not going to thrive as a human being. So why is goal-setting important? According to Latham, the setting of goals has been shown to increase employee motivation and organizational commitment. Additionally, goals affect the intensity of our actions and our emotions according to Latham and Locke. Shank also found that participation in goal setting encourages a search for new strategies to aid success. Goal setting involves planning for the future. MacLeod, Coates, and Heatherstone found that goal setting and skill-oriented planning significantly improve subjective well-being in those who took part in a goal-setting intervention program. So here are the key principles of goal setting. First is commitment. Commitment refers to the degree to which an individual is attached to the goal and their determination to reach it even when faced with obstacles. According to Locke and Latham, goal performance is the strongest when people are committed even when said goals are difficult. When we are less committed to goals, we increase the likelihood of giving up. So the second one is clarity. In the research of Harvey, Dewars, and Bulling, they indicated that goal clarity was positively related to overall motivation and satisfaction in the workplace. When a goal is clear in your mind, You have an improved understanding of the task at hand. You know exactly what is required, and the resulting success is further source of motivation. The third one is challenging. Goals must be challenging yet attainable. Challenging goals can improve performance through increased self-satisfaction and motivation to find suitable strategies to push our skills to the limit. So the fourth one is task complexity. Minor suggested that overly complex tasks introduce demands that may mute goal-setting effects. Overly complex goals that lie out of our skill level may negatively impact morale, productivity, and our motivation. The timescale for such goals should be realistic. Even the most motivated people can become disillusioned if the task complexity is too great for their skills. So the last key principle of goal setting is the feedback. According to Aries, goal setting is more effective in the presence of immediate feedback. Feedback helps to determine the degree to which a goal is being met and how you are progressing. So there are some research related to goal setting. First is goal setting in teams. In team-based structures, individuals must engage in interpersonal interaction and various other processes in order to accomplish the team's goal. Another one is goal setting in virtual teams. Within virtual teams, designing interactions that encourage the settings of goals leads to the achievement of shared mental models. In addition, intermediate goals significantly improve task performance within virtual groups. There is also goal setting in academia. The setting of educational goals in academia ensures learners have a clear understanding of what is expected on the attainment of their goals. For children, self-regulation and motivation are affected by perceived goals and values. When a goal is valued, children are more likely to engage in and perform better on the task. Another one is goal setting in neurological rehabilitation. Goal setting is at the core of many neurological rehabilitation therapies. A findings of a certain research suggested that within rehabilitation, it is vital that patients understand what is expected of them in order to ensure goal setting is meaningful activity. So the last one is the goal setting in physical therapy. Goal setting is a traditional method used within the practice of physical therapy. A certain study suggested that active participation by the patient in the goal setting process is one of the primary importance to the attainment of goals. So what are the skills required for successful goal setting? First is planning skills, where it is integral to the goal achievement progress. Second is self-motivation. Motivation to achieve a goal encourages us to develop new techniques and skills in order to succeed. Third is time management. If we do not properly consider the time scale required to attain a goal, we will inevitably fail. Fourth is flexibility. Having the flexibility to adapt to barriers and perseverance to sustain your efforts is essential in reaching your goals. And last is self-regulation. An individual needs to regulate and manage their own emotions in order to promote their own personal and social goals. So now let's proceed to the 3 descriptions of goal setting in practice. First is psychological health. In considering goals related to psychological health, think of what you want to change and how you want to go about changing it. Achieving goals in any aspect of life can boost self-esteem, self-efficacy, and improve well-being. Second is relationships. Goals contribute to the cycles of responsiveness between people and improve relationship quality. Interpersonal goal setting create higher quality relationships and enhance relationship quality for everyone. And third is financial. Smaller goals are often more likely to result in success. Whatever your financial goal, small positive steps taking control of your finances can make a big impact. So how often should we review goals? Once your goals are set, it is important to revisit and reassess them regularly. Regular goal reviews ensures that goal is still relevant. Essentially, Reviewing your goals ensures that you are monitoring your progress in relation to the successes and failures. It gives you the chance to analyze the good and bad so that you can regroup, build on the knowledge, and improve future goal setting strategies. So here are the 5 golden rules of goal setting. First is set goals that motivate you. When you set goals for yourself, it is important that they motivate you. This means making sure that they are important to you and that there is value in achieving them. If you have a little interest in the outcome or they are irrelevant given the larger picture, then the chances of you putting in the work to make them happen are slim. So motivation is the key to achieving goals. So second, set SMART goals. In the word SMART, S is for specific. It is important to be as specific as possible when setting goals. This can make the difference between knowing what you are aiming for and how you will get there versus being frustrated in the open-ended goal. M is for measurable. Having a goal which can be quantified in some way makes it a lot easier to track your progress. A is for attainable. Make sure that it is possible to achieve the goals you set. If you set a goal that you have no hope of achieving, you will only demoralize yourself and erode your confidence. And R is for relevant. Goals should be relevant to the direction you want your life and career to take. By keeping goals aligned with this, you will develop the focus you need to get ahead and do what you want. And T is for time bound. Your goals must have a deadline. When you are working on a deadline, your sense of urgency increases and achievement will come that much quicker. So the third rule is set goals in writing. The physical act of writing down a goal makes it real and tangible. You have no excuse for forgetting about it. As you write, use the word will instead of would like to or might. The fourth one is make an action plan. This step is often missed in the process of goal setting. This is especially important if your goal is big and demanding or long-term. And the last rule is stick with it. Remember, goal setting is an ongoing activity, not just a means to an end. Build in reminders to keep yourself on track and make regular time slots available to review your goals. So always remember that we all have the capacity to adapt and to achieve our personal expectations. Through goal setting, we raise the bar in relation to our own potential and push ourselves to achieve things we only hope were possible.
So let's proceed to the definition, nature, and characteristic of attitude. So what is attitude? So here's the definition of attitude. Attitude is the manner, disposition, feeling, and position about a person or thing, tendency or orientation, especially in mind. So let's proceed to the characteristic of attitude. So there are two main elements of attitude. The first one is this tendency or predisposition, and the second one is direction of this predisposition. It has been defined as a mental state of readiness organized through experience which exerts a directive or dynamic influence on the responses. This can also be explicit and implicit. Explicit attitudes are those that we are concisely aware of and that clearly influence our behaviors and beliefs, while implicit attitudes are unconscious but still affect our beliefs and behaviors. So let's proceed to the characteristic of attitude. The first one is attitudes are the complex combinations of things we call personality, beliefs, values, behaviors, and motivations. 2. It can fall anywhere along a continuum from very favorable to very unfavorable. 3rd, all people, irrespective of their status or intelligence, hold attitudes. 4th, an attitude exists in every person's mind. It helps to define our identity, guide our actions, and influence how we judge people. 5th, although the feeling and belief components of attitudes are internal to a person, we can view a person's attitudes from their resulting behavior. 6th, attitudes help us define how we see situations and define how we behave towards a situation or object. 7. It provides us with internal cognitions or beliefs and thoughts about people and objects. 8. It can also be explicit and implicit. 9. Attitudes can cause us to behave in a particular way toward an object or person. 10. An attitude is a summary of a person's experience. 11. It includes certain aspects of personality as interest, appreciation, and social conduct. 12. It indicates the total of a man's inclinations and feelings. 13. An attitude is a point of view, substantiated or otherwise, true or false, which one holds towards an idea, object, or person. 14. It has aspects such as direction, intensity, generality, or specificity. 15. It refers to one's readiness for doing work. 16. It may be positive or negative and may be affected by age, position, and education. So let's proceed to the components of attitude. There are 3 components of attitude. The first one is cognitive component, second one is affective component, and the third one is behavioral component. So let's proceed to the factors influencing attitudes. Many different factors can influence how and why attitudes form. These are social factors, direct instructions, family, prejudice, personal experience, media, educational and religious institutions, physical factors, and economic status and occupation. Next, let's proceed to the types of attitudes. Attitude is something that lies between emotions and think processing. It may be positive or negative. In organizational behavior, there are 3 types of attitudes. The first one is job satisfaction, the second one is job involvement, and the third one is organizational commitment. Next, we will tackle about the functions of attitudes. The most important function of an attitude can only be ascertained by considering it concerning the person who holds it and the environment in which they operate. Daniel Katz outlines there are 4 functions of attitudes areas. The first one is adjustment function, the second one is ego defensive function, the third one is value expressive function, and the last one is knowledge function. Next, we will tackle about the barriers to change attitudes. Barriers to change attitudes are prior commitment, insufficient information, balance and consistency, lack of resources, improper reward system, and resistance to change. So first, prior commitment. When people feel a commitment towards a particular course of action that has already been agreed upon, it becomes difficult for them to change or accept the new ways of functioning. Insufficient information. It also acts as a major barrier to change attitudes. Sometimes people do not see why they should change their attitude due to the unavailability of adequate information. So next is balance and consistency. Another obstacle to a change of attitude is the attitude theory of balance and consistency. Human beings prefer their attitudes about people and things to be in line with their behaviors and towards each other and objects. Then, lack of resources. If plans become excessively ambitious, they can sometimes be obstructed by the lack of resources on a company or organization. So in this case, if the organization wants to change the employee's attitude towards the new plan, sometimes it becomes impossible for the lack of resources to achieve this. Improper reward system. Sometimes an improper reward system acts as a barrier to change attitude. If an organization places too much emphasis in short-term performance and results, managers may ignore longer-term issues as they set goals and formulate plans to achieve higher profits in the short term. Last one is resistance to change. Basically, change is a continuous process within and outside the organization to achieve the set goal. When the authority changes a plan of an organization, the employees have to change themselves. So let's proceed to the ways of changing attitudes. There's a lot of ways of changing attitude. For example, new information will help to change attitudes. Negative attitudes are mainly formed owing to insufficient information. Attitudes may change through direct experience. Another way in which attitudes can be changed is by resolving discrepancies between attitudes and behavior. Change of attitude can come through to the persuasion of friends or peers. Attitudes may change through legislation. Since a person's attitudes are anchored in his membership group and reference group, one way to change the attitude is to modify one or the other. Fear can change their attitude. Changing the attitude is differed regarding the situation also. Then, let's proceed to workplace and attitudes. Taking this step further, we can assemble some ideas of how these three components can impact the workplace. The workplace challenge is that now these components are tied to work functions, policy, procedures, organizational structures, and the people and individuals present in the organizations. It is important to make the point here that these are attitudes, and yes, they can be wrong. Just because we have an attitude, that does not mean it is correct. It is just how we feel about a person or situations. So next, let's proceed to attitude surveys. The concept of an attitude comes from social psychology. The term attitude is defined as a psychological tendency expressed by evaluating a particular entity with some degree of favor or disfavor. It provides an understanding of how the employee perceives the organization and work groups. The preceding review indicates that knowledge of employee attitude can help manager attempt to predict employee behavior. The most popular method is through the use of attitude surveys. Employee attitude surveys measure the employee's opinions on most of the aspects of a workplace, including overall satisfaction, management-employee relations, corporate culture, career development, compensation, benefits, recognition and rewards, working conditions, training, staffing levels, safety concerns, and policy and procedures.
Good day everyone, especially to our subject teacher, Mrs. Delirita Casundo. By the way, my name is Lodi Barwegamo and I am the last reporter in chapter 9, which is motivation. And I am going to tackle first the employee motivating techniques and strategies, followed by handling employees' frustration. And now let's begin. We can all recognize highly motivated and engaged employees when we see them. They're more productive, they don't hold back, and they go the extra mile. But why? The simple answer is because they want to. They're inspired by their work, they believe in their organization, and they feel connected to what it's trying to achieve. Imagine working in an environment where everyone feels inspired and love what they did every day. It almost sounds too good to be true. And as a good leader, how do you help create an environment where people feel engaged and motivated? Here are 6 strategies to help your employees to be engaged and inspired in their work. Number 1, set goals to create meaning. Goal setting gives employees meaning in their day-to-day rules. Employees who are brought along on the goal-setting journey are 3.6 times more likely to be engaged than those who are not. To motivate employees, you should establish what expected of them, help them visualize what success in the role looks like, explain how their contribution makes a difference to the business, because creating the connection between your people's objectives and goals of the organization is particularly important. For example, if your organization mission is awesome customer service, then how is the value reflected for an employee working in the finance development? And then recognizing that each team member has different sources of motivation, then linking this back to overall goals of your organization is the key. In fact, surveys have shown that 55% of employees, regardless of age, sex, region, would be more motivated if they believed they were doing the meaningful work. Number 2, celebrate milestones big and small. It's not just the big wins that should be acknowledged. Setting and celebrating mini milestone keeps employees motivated in their day-to-day roles. In addition to yearly or quarterly goals, set goals to track what your people are achieving on a weekly or monthly basis. These don't have to be performance driven. They can be social or cultural, or they can focus on personal development. For example, setting a goal for dealing with challenging stakeholders. For further explanation, celebrating milestone is also about understanding the challenges your people are facing. When a mini milestone isn't met, take the opportunity to see what's blocking your team's progress, then how it can be overcome, and whether the end goal needs to be reassessed. Number 3, provide meaningful feedback. This strategy is very important and has a huge impact in motivating your employees, because praise is always welcome but becomes far more meaningful when it is linked to concrete examples. For example, great presentation, well done. These two praises is nice feedback to receive. Then but great presentation, your explanation of how this impacts our customers base will help us to improve customers loyalty, then pinpoints exactly how someone's contribution benefits the company, and by giving specific targeted feedback, tells your team that you're paying attention. The same goes for providing constructive feedback on areas of improvement. Keep this feedback personalized and actionable. The goal should be to help your people grow and develop, so providing ongoing timely feedback is crucial. Number 4, empower problem solving and learning. Create space for your people to solve their own problems. You can provide support and guidance, but it is important to let your employees lead with their own ideas and solutions. That way, they'll know their skills and perspective are valued. Nurturing a culture where problem solving and learning is encouraged means listening to your team's ideas, embracing their unique skills, encourage self-directing learning, allowing them to take ownership of their work, creating a safe space where failure is framed as a learning opportunity. So this could be a helpful way to make your employees improve their skills and abilities. Number 5, follow through on promises. Keep employees motivated by establishing an atmosphere of trust and consistency that's sustained from the top. And be mindful of the promises you make. This can have a direct impact on employee engagement, because as a manager, you represent the organization. Employees don't distinguish between the promises made by manager and those made by the company, which means losing trust in a manager can mean losing trust in the whole organization. And then, if an employee's hard work is met without the promised reward, it's not just motivation that suffers. It can also lead to feelings of resentment and betrayal, which inevitably leads to increased employee turnover. That's why making any promises is very important, especially in every organization. Number 6, experiment and learn. There is no magical one-size-fits-all formula for keeping employees motivated. Maintaining motivation in your people is an ongoing task filled with opportunities to experiment and learn what works and what doesn't work for your team. These are just a few approaches to keep in mind as you look for better ways to Keep your employees happy, engaged, and energized. And now, let's move on to the next topic, which is handling employees' frustration. In almost every working environment, a time will come when an employee will get angry or upset. This can be overwhelming and issue that you're unsure how to handle as a manager, whether this is through tears, anger, or anxiety. How you deal with this situation is vital for both team member and the company as a whole. If an employee has a negative encounter with a manager, when emotions are high, this could lead to them feeling dissatisfied or even leaving the company. The root cause of why person is upset or stressed may not even be related to work. There could be problems at home or in their personal life weighing on the employee's mind, causing them to react differently than they usually do. Whatever the employee is concerned about, connecting and appropriately communicating with them is essential. So, how to identify a frustrated employee? There will be inevitably at least a few employees in every workplace who don't necessarily enjoy being there. These employees may not be angry because of something that happened at work. Some have negative work experiences that can change their outlook on the company, and some reasons for their anger may be lack of support from their managers or team members, or an argument with a coworker, and insufficient pay, stress, or unclear expectation for assigned tasks. So here are 6 tips on how to deal with upset employees. Number 1, always remain calm and listen. Sometimes a team member might just want to rant, cry, or get something off their chest. Remaining calm until they are finished and demonstrating that you are there to listen is essential. The last thing you want to do is replicate their anger and escalate the situation. Listen carefully, reply when needed, and remain calm. Number 2, remember, you're talking to an individual. Well, it's good to know how to react in different situations. Remember that you are talking to an individual, and everyone reacts differently, so be personable but professional. You are their manager, and this must be recognized, but being empathetic and trying to understand their point of view is essential in communicating to them. Number 3, don't quote policy. When speaking to an upset employee, highlighting specific company policies such as an acceptable use policy that they may have broken is not helpful. In all likelihood, they probably know the policies and don't need to be reminded of them when they are upset. So stop doing so you can make a bad situation worse. 4, focus on the positives. Perhaps the employee is upset because they've done something wrong and worried about your feedback. Giving staff constructive criticism isn't always easy. It's important when you're in the situation to find some positive to focus on. No one wants to be called in a meeting purely to be told about something they've done wrong. So this is a sure way to upset an employee. So you need to find some positive traits and example of your employees' work and mention this during your meeting. Number 5, don't be patronizing. According to Psychology Today, one of the worst responses when dealing with an upset employee is to patronize the individual and project moral superiority. For instance, don't correct the employee about your vision of events. Instead, take the time to truly listen to what the person is saying before responding. If the employee doesn't have all the accurate details, you don't need to prove them wrong. Also, avoid trivializing their concerns. As an example, don't say things like, well, you think you have it bad, so you should try putting yourself in my shoes. So this is not a good idea in handling frustrated employee. Number 6, always keep it private. Unfortunately, people gossiping in the workplace is common. Unless you want to take a firm approach and ban office gossip. People talking to each other about who's going to get promoted or who had an argument in that meeting will be circulated. There are many ways to deal with workplace gossip, such as confronting a member of staff about a subject that may lead to strong emotions. However, this conversation should be handled privately. And also, creating a scene in front of other staff members is not helpful for anybody. If an employee wants to confide in another team member about what happened, they can do so. However, they may want to keep it private, and you need to respect this. And as a good leader, you must listen carefully to employees' concerns, encourage them to vocalize any frustrations they might have so that problem can be addressed quickly, and you should always be prepared to handle any unexpected issues so the angry team member doesn't lash out in ways that could upset other employees. And that could be all. I hope you understand what I've discussed, and thank you.